everybody to the February meeting of the Greencastle Common Council. If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And thank you and welcome everyone. We do have several folks online joining us, including Councilors Jacob Widener and Cody Eckert, and then we have several of our department heads as well. So, Linda, can you call the roll?
Councilor Mark Hammer.
Here.
Councilor Adam Cohen.
Here.
Councilor Stacy Langdon. Here. Councilor Veronica Pedrell.
Here.
Councilor Cody Eckert.
Here.
Councilor Dave Murray.
Here.
And Councilor Jake Widener.
Here.
Okay. Next item of business is public petitions and comments, and I'd like to call up Mike Richmond.
Good evening, everybody.
Hello.
Mike Richmond with Main Street. It is that time of the year to start discussing First Fridays.
Oh, can we only dream?
Right? As you see, I didn't do a road closure. This isn't asking for any type of road closures. We're not doing any major planning right now. I just wanted to come tonight and kind of get the discussion started, sort of see where everybody stands. I know even if things go very well and we get to the blue phase, I think we're still limited to a 250-person event. So we really haven't made any plans to do any sort of a ticketed event or anything. This is just kind of to see what everybody sort of has to say and maybe get the wheels moving on something, or maybe just for us to know that we can continue to hold off on planning for a while.
Hey, Mike, pre-COVID, when did they start? Was it April?
Yeah, the first one was in April, but a couple people have been talking about maybe potentially pushing that to May anyway. The April ones were kind of cold and nasty,
Yeah.
But traditionally that's when they started, yeah.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, if you say, well, let's just hold off, and then you have a beautiful First Friday on April or whatever. But I think it's also Easter weekend, I believe.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But it takes us just getting bands booked, getting vendors set, and getting everything going. It takes about a month and a half. So.
Okay. So yeah, you're up against it then. Even if you're trying to do May, I mean, it's getting pretty close. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, given that, I mean, what we went through last year in the summer, and things looked like they probably, I mean, numbers went down and things look better, and it's outside, and I'd love to see it happen. You know, I'd love to, but we have to be smart about it too.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure that your organization will appropriately have planned for it so that it will pass health organizations muster and stuff like that.
Yeah, so that's.
So I would like to see it. I would really like to see it. At least you move forward with in anticipation that it will happen.
Yeah, we could take that step initially and at least get a plan set with the health department, just in case we do turn around somehow. We can have that ready to go. That's always going to be part of the plan, but I guess we could do that kind of as a preliminary step, just to have it in place.
I think it'd be better if you came to us with the health department having signed off on it first instead of the other way around.
Okay.
So like if the health department says, you go to them with the plan, and Sarah and the health department say that's fine.
Yep.
I think that's easier on us because they're the experts.
Yeah.
And if we can guarantee good weather.
Well, yeah.
Or at least get warmer. Could it get warmer?
Yeah.
A little bit of a chicken and the egg, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
if I get it and you guys aren't going to approve it anyway.
What I'm saying is I think it's easier for me to say yes because I want to say yes
Correct.
this
Well,
year.
I'll have it when I come.
Yeah.
actually.
Right. We realize what you're coming for tonight is just to feel out
Just sort of get everybody.
our mood and everything else, and where we think that this should be something we move forward with or not. And
And if you go to, sorry.
And I just think that it would be appropriate to at least continue on in anticipation that we have it, or maybe even maybe not start until June or July, or who knows when.
I kind of had that June, July date.
Yeah.
Maybe a potential first
Okay.
in the back of my mind.
But yeah, we'd want you to come back here once you had something that's a little more
yeah.
solid.
I might have to do
Yeah.
road closures, and we'll
Right.
present our plan, and
So I think, yeah, we'll
obviously
have,
going to be some more spacing and some more, we'll spend a little bit more money on some sanitation stations and things like that, but I'll have all that.
My mood is cautiously optimistic, and my optimism will be raised and my caution will be lowered if the county health department gives some manner of blessing
Yeah.
to a particular date.
I was encouraged tonight on the national news. They were talking about the government has bought another 200 million shots today, and that we could, in Indiana, could get to herd immunity sometime early summer. Now, of course, they hedged their bets and said it could be September or October, depending on how all this plays itself out, but there's a lot more vaccine in the pipeline right now, and that's only going to increase. They're talking about being able to do 4,000 shots a day in the state of Indiana. That starts multiplying pretty quickly when we start talking about the length of time we're talking out here. So I'm second Veronica's statements that I'm cautiously optimistic, but
My
I also...
other job at DePaul with the contact tracing, I become a COVID junkie, but there's optimism that come April, maybe everybody that wants one can have a shot, or May. So I think if you look at May and June.
Yeah.
And kind of another side note, I thought the closing of the street, I know John's going to kill me if he's online, in front of Moore's and Tap House was awesome. COVID or no COVID, I love the feel, the tables out there on the street, the kind of festive patio feel. And I don't know if there's a way, when the weather turns nice, we can build that into downtown, but I don't know, I just like the look of it. I don't know how other councilors felt, but I just wanted to throw that as an aside. You know, maybe that's a positive that comes out of this. And anyway,
Hey, Mike, Farmers Market and First Friday are not directly connected, so we could potentially maybe start with Farmers Market, but not First Friday. I mean, they don't go in tandem, right? They're separate.
Yeah, I don't even think that the timelines sort of run in sync, but not completely. That's under the chamber with Brian.
Okay.
I think Misty Scott, maybe, from the Peeler, kind of helps him out with setting all that up.
so
I would just add here, this is Jake, kind of similar to what I'm hearing from everybody. I think remaining consistent and following whatever the health department or the higher governing authorities are recommending, I think is important and would, I think be helpful in having us approve something like this. I've remained pretty consistent this whole time with my thoughts on events like this. I think I've been in support of them all along. I would just also, like to mention, I think the fact that Indianapolis Zoo has hosted events and the fact that we have school sports, going on and the Big Ten's coming to Indy and all of these things, I think that we're seeing an openness and a new responsibility to begin allowing some of these events to happen again. And I would say that, seeing these events occurring elsewhere, I think we need to be open and supportive of events in our own community as well. So definitely open to it, Mike. We appreciate your time.
Okay, yeah, that's what I need. Thank you, everybody. I'll get with the health department and we'll get kind of a preliminary plan in place, and you'll probably be hearing from me again in another month or two.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Mike.
Next on the agenda is special requests. We have one special request for consideration this evening, street closure for the Shamrock 5K. So Gail, if you would come up.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
As you know, I was here in November hoping we'd have the Jingle Jam, and things just didn't work out the best. Didn't feel comfortable with the numbers going up, so we made the decision not to do that. However, the Shamrock 5K, which we'd like to do, is March the 6th, Saturday, March the 6th, coming up this next month in downtown. And do you guys have a map? Oh, I have one too. But it's the same, we did it last year on March the 7th. It was actually the last big event in downtown Greencastle before we got pretty much shut down, and we had over 300 participants. So we're really hoping that we can do this again. However, we've made some adjustments. We won't have any beer outside. There won't be a band. It's basically the run. It'll just be the run and done, pretty much. We have the company that I have hired and that also did it last year does a lot of these Crossroads events, and he has or will contact the health department. He has the whole package that they will need to see, and he's taking care of that. So the thing that I'm doing is just it's on our website. You can look at, you can go to greencastlemusicfest.com and click on the Shamrock 5K, and all the information is on there, and we'll have all the protocols in place, and like I said, it's just a run and done kind of thing. The interesting thing about this is we have really gotten a lot of interest from other businesses that are putting together their own teams and sponsors. You know, I've been very fortunate. You know, hospitals are sponsors, some of the nursing homes are sponsors, some new businesses are wanting to sponsor. So that's positive. I didn't really have to struggle with asking people for money, but anyway, with that being said, it starts at 10 o'clock, and the run, unless you're really, really fast, lasts about 40 minutes. And like I said, if you're really fast, you're done in 20, and and then, you know, it's pretty much over. But it's just I think downtown Greencastle needs to see something happening in downtown. You know, I'm just hopeful that you will let us do this and just kind of have something positive going on, especially, you know, Mike talked about what he's planning in the future, and, you know, I know this is baby steps, but like Dave said, we're heading in the right direction. And so
I'd move that we allow it with health department approval, which kind of is given. The police approve. I don't know if Tom's online or not.
Tom, are you online?
Yes, I'm here.
And whatever our attorney says has to be in the...
we're good.
Yeah, but I always throw that in because you get mad when I don't. With those three stipulations.
Hey, Mayor, all I ask Gail to do is make sure she gets with me, gets me a copy of the map, and shows me the intersections that she might need police officers at the crossroad.
Okay, she heard you.
Okay, well, I can take care of that.
So you're just wanting to close like last year, just where the start.
Yeah, just down Franklin and
Main Street.
yeah, Franklin, pretty much in Indiana.
Then it'll be just kind of a rolling
The rolling closure.
type thing,
Rolling
because most of the
closures.
people will be in.
Yes,
Do we need a rain date?
yes. Pardon me?
Do we need a rain date?
No, no.
Okay.
If it rains, they
Run
run.
and done and rain or shine.
Right, right.
The way our weather has been, we may need a cold weather date rather than rain.
If it snows, might be a different story. If
Yeah.
it's slick, but
You had good weather last year, I believe.
I'd like to
it was cold, but it was sunny.
Yeah.
It was sunny.
I'd like to second Adam's motion. Call the question.
Any further questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye to approve the request.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Your request is granted. We'll get you some paperwork.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your support.
Thank you, Gail.
Thank you.
Next, we have department reports. We do have several department heads online and a couple here this evening, so if anybody has any questions?
Did Brad put up the wayfinding signs, or did the company put up the wayfinding signs?
Company did, but Brad provided traffic safety measures.
Okay, all right. They look fantastic. Thank you, Brad, for your help with that.
And Brad, I assume that, I go down Washington Street and I see the old green and white signs, and I assume once the weather's a little nicer that those will go away.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, we've been the team's been plowing a little snow here lately.
They sure have.
Salt down.
They sure have.
And I would just, because Rod's not available, he's out sick, I would hesitate not to mention that they've got several parks programs coming up, and just visit greencastleparks.com to take advantage of those. Any other questions for department heads? Okay, hearing.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, is Scott online?
Scott's here.
Scott's in his
I was just wondering how the technical review committee went today.
I can only speak to part of it because I missed part of it myself. I had to be out of the office, but I think overall it went pretty well. He's coming up. He was just in his office.
Cody Eckert has a question for you, Scott.
Sure. Question about how tech review went today.
Let's see, for tech review, we, sorry, I ran up the stairs. We reviewed the economic development plan, and there were no comments or suggestions made about those. We reviewed the Greater East Side Development Standards and the zoning map that would go with that. There are just some minor driveway considerations that we are still kind of refining, potentially for 3-car garages in particular, but we do feel we'll be able to bring that to Plan Commission on February the 22nd. We've done a kind of a mass mailing legal notice to all of the adjoining property owners and properties within the district, commonly known as the avenues. And at this point, and that was 220 mailings, individuals that received this. At this point, we have had no comments from any of the property owners other than meetings that we've already in fact had with some property owners to get their input, property owners and potential builders.
Gotcha. Thank you for that update, Scott.
Okay. I'll go back to working on those minutes.
Okay.
Thanks, Scott.
Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll move into reports. I'm going to keep mine brief in light of the agenda. Again, just to remind all of our citizens that even as the vaccinations are rolling out, it's still a good idea to keep masked up and social distancing and things like that. Our staff has continued to work hard with the coronavirus, and I think we have received several compliments about the snow removal going on these past several weeks here in February and late January. Water and wastewater budgets go to Board of Works next week. Pool improvements are underway. We do have all the contracts in place for the dugouts and things at the park, so as soon as the weather clears up, that work will continue. Still working on the YMCA stuff, hoping to hear back on some information from Ice Miller. It was mentioned earlier that we do have some of the wayfinding signs installed. We were supposed to have a field visit with NDOT earlier this week, but due to illness, the the field visit has to be rescheduled, so that'll probably take place next week or the week after. And then we did, you might recall that we applied for a Next Level Trails grant well over a year ago, and that program was put on hold by the governor. That program has reopened. They are not taking new applications. They will only review the ones they've received. We were asked to submit some very modest information about a 10 questionnaire, like, are you still interested? Do you still want to do it? Which we submitted, so we don't have a timetable yet as to when those awards will be made. Our engineering team has been working diligently on our community crossings program because we have to get that out for bids based on a deadline within the grant, so that's moving forward as well. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Bill, kind of unrelated, but in the national news, there's so much talk about this new stimulus plan, and I know we don't know what it will look like yet, but do you think there'll be any money for local governments coming out of that? I mean,
I believe there will be. I'm not sure under what kind of context. I did hear something the other day that it may be distributed similar to community development block grant funds, where larger communities will just get an entitlement, and then smaller communities will be awarded kind of based on population. So it's, or something like that. But I'm sure the details are still being worked out. And then we've also heard that there may be an infrastructure bill coming forward, but haven't heard anything on any details on that either. So kind of see what happens. So. Typically, we would find out information like that through AIM, or I'm on a listserv from National League of Cities, even though we don't belong, but sometimes some things appear on that as well. So, and then sometimes I get through the American Planning Association, which I'm a member. So just depends on how things are coming out of Washington.
yeah, good. All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, this is Cody.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, you had mentioned about the Next Level Trails grant. Just what exactly did we apply for, or how much?
We applied for to complete the trail from roughly where it ends now by the apartments to head west along Veterans Memorial Highway, and then link up with the trail roughly a little bit north of Limedale, and that included paving some of the trail that's already in existence along Jackson Street there. I can't remember right off the top of my head what the dollar amount was that we applied for, but it was probably close to $1 million. And then the Redevelopment Commission was going to provide the match for that.
And the match,
Gotcha, thank you.
the match would be a 25%?
Yeah, I think it's a 25%, so I think the match is about $400,000. We also, under that program, the way it's set up is the city will have 4 years to complete the project, and DNR set it up that way because a lot of the projects around the state will require acquisition of easements, purchase of right-of-way. We will have to acquire some easements, but a lot of it we already control because we have right-of-way along 240, and then we already have an indication that the section that's already been improved by the Jackson Street there would be turned over to the city from People Pathways. So there will be some acquisition involved. We've kept in contact with the property owners, and we talked to all of them individually before we even made the application.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bill, I know that last year the state came through and did a lot of repaving. Some of it's starting to deteriorate. Are they planning, because I know we're still probably a good year or two out from...
Yeah, as far as I know, they'll come back and do some patching. They did some in January when it was warmer and dry, but it's just, there's not much...
Not going to do it now.
Yeah, there's not much of a base under a lot of that stuff.
Right.
I mean, if you read Brad's report, he was out a little bit before the cold weather and snow hit. taking care of some of our patching, but,
Right.
right now, and at least through the next week, it's probably not going to be great.
No, and sounds like they're going to be really busy plowing snow in about 4 or 5 days, potentially. Okay, well, I've noticed there's some, not nearly like there used to be, but there's some of those spots that are needing, and I was hoping that come spring that they would come back and fix those and smooth them out again.
Yeah, I expect there'll be, if the cold weather continues and we get some more freeze and thaw, we'll have
Right now we just have freezing.
a few more develop, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
once those thaws hit, that'll really tear them up. Yeah.
Okay, I'll turn the floor over to Linda.
I don't really have too much, just still working on getting stuff turned into the state, so we have a couple more weeks before it has to be turned in, so we're getting there.
Nothing I can think of.
Nothing?
No report here.
Dave?
Nothing from here.
Okay. Adam?
Only thing is, I want to thank Dave for pushing the wayfinding signs. The first one I saw pointed me, the first one I saw pointed me to the grave, Forest Hill Cemetery, so I don't know if that was a sign of...
Let's hope not.
Anyway.
Cody? You have anything?
No, nothing to report from me. I'm just right in the thick of the legislative session, so it is busy with the state budget was just heard in Ways and Means today. It looks like it got voted out 16-8, so that is on its way through the process.
Good. Well, there's several bills that are beating up on local government again, so I may need to send you an email.
Feel free.
Okay. Jake?
Yep, just a quick update here. I did receive an email from DePauw Management Fellows students today, particularly the upper class juniors and seniors, and they're interested in working with the city council, or I imagine with any city department that would need really, and I encourage them to reach out to me, and I'll reach out to all of you to maybe get a meeting together, but some sort of a project that would benefit the city or benefit a department. I think they're willing to help us, whether it's marketing something, whether it's developing. It's in the very early stages, I guess, but they reached out to us, which I think is a very nice thing. So I plan to engage with them, and I'll reach out to the city council here if any of you would like to be engaged in that as well.
Okay, sounds good. Next item of business is approval of minutes of the regular session from January 14th. Those were in your packets. While council's reviewing those, if any department head wants to bow out, please feel free to do so and enjoy the rest of the evening with your family.
I'll move to approve the minutes as written from the January 14th meeting.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, please signify your approval by indicating, please indicate your approval.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any nays or abstentions? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Next item of business is approval of city claims.
Mark, is that?
Off to Dave, I asked him to.
I'm happy to do
He's been
it.
reviewing them so well and thoroughly with Aubrey, and I asked Dave if he would gladly do that, and he said he would.
Yep, glad to do it. Payroll for this past month was $530,551.40. Pension, $18,508.98. The direct payables had some fairly significant expenditures. Civil engineering on Locust Street, civil engineering on Zinc Mill inspection. That was $22,333 for the first one and $11,436 for the second. They also have $2,545 for Big Walnut Park, $2,720 for Fillmore Road drainage work study, $2,770 Columbia Street parking lot work and design, and there was also a $3,421 check to Bonavita, who are working on the community center. Okay, let's go over to accounts payable. There are only a few that were significant. There is a Boyle Construction Management check for $30,748.62 related to the Aquatic Center. Distinct Web Design, $19,656, and I reached out to Vince Aguirre there, and I was not aware of this, but the staff here would know very well. It's an arrangement with Google Workforce, and what it does basically is it providing safe, reliable, compliant email to every city employee, but it also offers cloud storage, he says here, chat, Google Documents, and a plethora of other features. Many government agencies around the country use Google for these services, and the city switched in the last year or two to that service. Found that interesting. The last major expenditure goes to HWC Engineering, $41,376.48 for the Aquatic Center Engineering. And I'll make a motion that we approve the claims.
I will second Dave's motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claims as presented. Any further questions or discussion?
Lots of engineering going on, lots of projects, though.
Good to see.
Now, some of them are actually ending, like Zinc Mill Road, for example.
True.
That was probably the last one
let's
on
hope
that one, or close to the last one.
Yes.
I'd just like to add that I do this, I think, pretty carefully each month, and Linda and her staff do an incredible job. And I had a couple of questions, and Aubrey was right on it and helped me figure out what was going on. So a tip of the hat.
Thank you, David.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Claims are approved. Next item of business is the public hearing on the Oak Ridge COVID grant application. So I'll call Christy Jarrell, our grant administrator, up.
Good evening, everybody. Hello. Good to see you.
Hi.
Hi.
So we'll open the public hearing. If you would give an overview of what we're proposing.
Yes. What time do we have?
You need to sign this one, Dave.
It is 7:32.
32, okay. Thanks, Linda. So the city is actually going to be applying for the Indiana Office of Community Rural Affairs. It's the grants that we get a lot for your community. The COVID Phase 3. And we are actually going in for grants to small businesses within your community. We tried to add a mental health piece. We had several phone calls with the mayor and myself on the phone with Okra officials, but that kind of just, the requirements were a little too stringent, and we just could not meet those. So we have already hit the ground thanks to the partnership with Kristen Clary, the Development Center, as well as Brian Cox with the Chamber, and then Tammy Van Rensselaer as well has been helping tremendously. A total of 19 small business applications have been received.
One more came in today.
Oh, you got another one? Okay. I need to get that before I leave.
I'll scan it and email it to you in the morning.
Okay, perfect. So we are going for a grant for $250,000, which is the most we can go for in this program. The requirement for match is a zero match, but the city is actually going to put up $6,250 of edit funds because this grant, although we think possibly everything's going to get funded, it is still competitive. So we want to make sure, we know your businesses have been, really hurt by the pandemic, with, sales and staying open and closing. And so we really need to get assistance out to them. The proposal was submitted online, and they have extended the final application. It was February 26th. Now the due date has been extended to March 11th, and we will find out on April the 15th if we're funded. 118 proposals went into the state. They're probably going to kick out 10 to 12 for threshold issues and major issues for not qualifying. So what I'm kind of hearing is that they're going to try to fund everything they can. They do have $20 million available, but I do think they have a little bit more because they held back about $3 million from round 2 of 2020. So what I'm hearing is that they just want all these applications to go away. They want to fund them. So we're hoping that we're going to get grant award. If we get grant award on the 15th, we will put a free press release in the newspaper, and we will reopen the application period for accepting packets for a 2-week period. Because right now we have 20 businesses that have applied. We need to have at least 25 businesses for the city. That way we can give each business $10,000. We can't give over that. So if we get 30, 32 in, then but we will have a scoring committee, and we will look at these applications. I've actually reviewed everything. These applications are meeting everything, the requirements thus far, but the scoring committee, the review committee will also go over those as well. So do you guys have any questions?
Hi, this is Cody. I was just wondering if other communities in Indiana have already made use of these grants. Do you have any stories, positive stories about how this has affected other communities?
Yes, the phase 1, I actually was the grant administrator on the City of Attica in Fountain County, and they received grants to small businesses in the phase 1, and they gave 22 grants to small businesses in their community, and a lot of the money really helped keep their doors open, retain the employees, which is the intent of the money. Putnam County Commissioners are applying for this as well, grants to small businesses, as well as the town of Bainbridge. So all 3 of your community with those are all working together. And so we're, part of the points, chasing down the points to get us funded is, that regional impact. So we're talking up in the application about the regional aspect of your county, and it's just a great way for these businesses to recoup some of the money they've lost through this pandemic. So yeah, this is the 3rd phase, and I hopefully this COVID thing's probably never going to go away, but hopefully this is the last phase of it, and hopefully we will be lucky enough to get that grant award. So.
And I'm sorry, what was the name of the town that you said that you had already applied for?
It was the City of Attica in Fountain County. They had they've already received the grant in phase 1, and they had their checks already out, and we're in closeout process of them right now.
Mark Hammer does a lot of accounting down in Owen County, and they got funded in phase 2, so he was familiar with what was going on down there. And I will say we actually applied in round 1 but did not get funded, and then we were told that our application would roll over to the 2nd phase, but then that really wasn't the case, so we missed out on the 2nd phase. So that's why we're going in on this phase.
Perhaps 3rd time will be the charm.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah, and Cody, my clients down in Owen County that have been funded, they've had a very positive experience, and it's really helped them. So I had quite a few that were funded through that.
I believe there's been 122 communities funded. That's what I'm thinking the number is through phase 1 and phase 2. So, they're probably going to fund another 110 with this phase, I would say.
We right now have about 100 and a little bit over that, but a few that will probably get dismissed. So right now we're really close. But if they've opened it up for another 2 weeks beyond, so there could be more. And
no, we're going to open if we get funded. We'll open our application acceptance up.
Okay, I thought you meant that the state had extended it out to March.
Oh no. So the due date is the due date, March 11th, and whoever has their application in then, there will probably be 8 to 10. Because see, you have to have a certified grant administrator on these projects that's certified with an accreditation through the state. But Okra, in their infinite wisdom, has decided, for this COVID, you don't really need a grant administrator. So they've had all these problems. They've had wrong information in public hearings, all this, fair house, everything's just nuts. And so there's probably going to be about 8 to 10 knocked out because they really don't know what they're doing, which is unfortunate, But so I would say there's probably going to be about 110, 108 applications that are going to be awarded is what I'm thinking that they're going to do. So yeah, but we did not have to get this head start on our application and gain these applications up front. We could have done it after award, But because it is competitive, I thought Bainbridge, Putnam County, and Greencastle could start getting a step up. These will be downloaded onto the application as an upload. And in the narratives, I will state, look, Greencastle is almost done collecting their applications. We've already got a foot ahead of everybody else in the state. We're ready to roll. We need your money. So I kind of wanted us to have a step ahead and get a jump start on it before we applied. So
I've just got one more question. Did Okra open this up, the application process, to nonprofits as well, or just small businesses?
They did not open this up for nonprofits. It is sole how do you pronounce that word?
Proprietorship?
Yes, thank you. LLCs, independent contractors. So yeah, they did not unfortunately open it up to nonprofits. Yeah.
We did have a number of nonprofits in the community take advantage of the PPP program from the feds, though.
Great, thank you.
Christie, the fact that we have not been funded in phase 1 and phase 2, or round 1 and round 2, would that be likely to score us more points over communities that have been funded?
Unfortunately, no. But
Okay.
I have mentioned that this would be the first award of a COVID award for the community. That is in the narratives.
Okay.
Yeah. So they base it strictly. Here's the thing: when they're turned in March 11th and they're going to announce on April 15th, that's not a lot of time to do threshold and to score 108, 110, 118 applications. There's no way. So in my opinion, after doing this for 12 years, I think, and I know how overwhelmed they are, they're underwater. I think that they're going to check the threshold. They're going to check to make sure that you actually wrote your narratives and maybe included some attachments, and then that's going to be, yeah, because I just don't believe in any right mind. They're on limited staff anyway, so I don't think, yeah. So I really think we're going to have a really good application, especially with the regional connection with the chamber and also the development center in Bainbridge as well. So
And county.
Yes.
Good. Let's hope so.
And we do have a small business owner who applied for it,
And
so
so-
almost time applied for it with Gail. So if you have any questions on the process or whatever, she'd be happy to.
Well, we do have a few members of the public here, so we do have to open up the floor to members of the public. So Gail or John, you're both small business people, and if you want to say anything, or you're welcome to come to the podium.
Could you maybe make a comment about if how important it is for your business to receive this grant and what it would mean to you and your operations and your employee retainment?
Sure.
Gail, you probably want to go to the mic so others can hear you.
Sorry.
This is pretty routine for Gail. She knows what it's like to be up at the microphone, you know.
Gail Smith, owner of Almost Home. Been a business owner in downtown Greencastle for 30 years. So having to go through a very challenging COVID pandemic time has pretty much yanked the rug out from under my business. Substantial losses, had to lay off people.
How many did you write off?
Well, they were part-timers, but during the time when business really went downhill, I think we laid off maybe five people.
Okay.
And, you know, as a business owner, I end up working 7 days a week, and some days 10-hour days. So, you know, it's not a healthy situation for anyone. And, you know, you still have rent to pay, utilities to pay. You know, I want to be, I know we're going to come out of this. I'm an optimist. So for the city to apply for something is such a good thing for me. It makes me feel good that we have this, our business has the support of the city. You know, I feel like you're more of a partner in being a small business person. So I think it's just win-win for everyone, and especially if they're dollars you don't have to pay back. So the process was pretty simple. If you've got good records, it's easy to pull up what you need, and hopefully things will improve, and there's other programs out there as well, but I don't know, just kind of warms my heart that the city's out there behind you. So thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Gail.
And would you like to come up and speak about your business? Okay.
Jake's going to introduce John here in a few minutes, but he's a small business owner, so we'll call him forward.
And what's the name of your business, sir?
The Watering Hole.
Okay.
My business it's been affected differently than obviously the restaurant or a lot of other retails. We did have to shut down and reduce our hours and do curbside, which was not very fun at all, especially when everybody and their brother was at home and coming over to our basically own a liquor store. So that part, yes, we stayed busy, very blessed for that. But the other part is a lot of our clientele struggled. A lot of the factories, a lot of the warehouses, a lot of that where we get our repeat customers were shut down and not working because they cut production of wherever business they had because they had to shut down departments if somebody was sick, COVID, or anything like that. So it's a little bit different. I didn't have it nowhere near as tough as like a restaurant owner or any other style business that was, you need to come in. Yes, we were affected, and it had difficult moments, but we're, knock on wood, we were very fortunate. There was, we did see increased business on certain things, but, talking to a lot of the other small business, furniture warehouse and a few other people that had to shut down, couldn't let anybody in, has really affected them when we'd talk. And then the flip side is once things do get rolling, your suppliers can't keep up. There's, we had to order furniture and it's still an order. I mean, they can't, it's like those other businesses, have shut down. So there's a domino effect. On my end, there's certain kind of liquors with the border shut down. It's hard to get tequilas or Canadian whiskeys. It's just, you pretty much have to beg, borrow, or figure out how to get it from your suppliers. Being that, in the liquor business, you have to go through distributors. You can't just go to, that's somebody else has it on the shelf, I can go buy it myself. That's illegal. So it all affects. If you don't have anything to put on your shelf, it doesn't matter if you have all the customers in the world if you have nothing to sell them. So, I mean, there's...
So if you received money from this this grant program, how would it help you?
It would probably help to be able to buy other stuff that you couldn't buy to resell, and probably get more help. I mean, I've recently added new systems in place. Just this week used another local business to put all new security and cameras in. That was very difficult with when we were doing curbside. I had to pay somebody or myself, worked every day, open and close, to stand by the door. Because people didn't understand that they couldn't come in and shop. They can go to other places and, but we were told nobody can come in. So, we had to acquire more help with less sales.
So you feel that maybe some of this money can help recoup that? Okay.
Right. It's every situation's different. I mean, you don't really think about it until after it happens, but you see your customers' trends change, some in positives and some in negatives.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will try my best to get this funded for you, I promise.
I'll help everybody else. That'd be wonderful.
Yes. Thank you so much for your comments.
Thanks, John.
I want to also thank Tammy because I contacted her and she forwarded to me the county application, the city application, which are virtually the same.
Yes.
And then I've sent them out to all my clients that I felt like would benefit from it and needed it. And I suppose we sent out about 20 emails, and I know of probably at least a handful and probably a lot more of our clients that did apply for it. So I really want to thank Tammy for getting that to us so we could then turn around and broadcast it right back out the same day. So, and hopefully that's going to be.
Linda did likewise. She contacted some of her business colleagues. I sent it out to several people. So I think overall between the city and the county, and we had a pretty good network, and Main Street helped out, and
Chamber.
The Chamber was helping out, and so there was a lot of folks making, and not just email contact, there were some personal contacts made too. So, and there was some hand-holding going on, as
I'm
the
actually
applications
doing
were filled out.
the same grant in Jamestown in Boone County, and one of the council members, her sister owns a flower shop here. I think she said it was a flower shop, so I sent her an application, and so she submitted something in too, so, yeah.
Unless there are other comments, I'd like to move that we close the public hearing.
Second.
Just a really quick question, Christy. Do you mind having your contact information shared with the council so we could reach out with any questions we might have?
Yes. My cell phone, you can reach me anytime. You can text me, call me, 812-878-0826.
I'll also email out her contact information tomorrow.
I know.
Perfect, thank you.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Public hearing is closed at 7:51. Okay, thanks, Christy.
Thanks, Christy.
Thanks, Christy.
We will shortly have a resolution that has to go in with the application here. The next item of business is a piece of old business regarding council appointments. So this is primarily for the BZA tonight. So Jake, if you would like to introduce John. He's already made an appearance at the podium, but if you would
stole his thunder,
go ahead and make an introduction.
Yes, I would be happy to do that. John and I had been communicating mostly over the phone recently, but I did submit a bio to the council for their review, and I'm sure John, being in person here, would be happy to answer any questions you may have. And I don't think for the sake of time I need to read through his professional and personal bio, so I'll just give my thoughts here before bringing his name forward as a council appointment for the BZA, and that is that through our conversations, John has been very open, very willing to serve in this role, and understands the necessary traits for a role such as this to be very by the book, and understand that this is not an opinion. This is not an opinion. This is what are the facts that I have to follow in the zoning ordinances. So, he's clarified many times that he understands that, and I think somebody that's willing to serve in this capacity, we'd be happy to have, and he's come well recommended from a number of sources as well. So I know that's not much of a personal or professional introduction, but I could also submit that bio for the record as well if you'd like me to. But if any of you have any questions, I'm sure John would be happy to answer them. Or if you want him to come up and give a short introduction of himself more personally, I'm imagine he'd be okay doing that, but I don't want to take up too much of our time. So that being said, I am bringing John Clark's name forward as a candidate for the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Is that a motion to put in?
That is a motion. If I can make one so soon, I'd be happy to motion to approve John Clark for the BZA.
I'll be glad to second it. I took the opportunity to go and talk with somebody who's worked with John in the past, who said he's a really good guy. I first described the nature of BZA, which is not your typical animal, so that he would know what we're looking for, and he was very much in favor of the appointment. He's a good guy, and I said, "Are there any landmines here?" And he said, "None at all." So I'm glad to second it.
We heard John's small business history. Can he come up and introduce himself again?
evening again.
Again. Deja vu.
Yeah, I'm John Clark. I've lived in Greencastle since probably around 86, 87. My family is from here. My father was in the service, so we lived in all over. So when he got out, this is where we made home. So yeah, I plan on sticking around for quite a while, and like to see the city grow. But like you said, everything has rules and regulations and reasons why they're there. For either safety or ongoing issues. So prior to buying a business and going out on my own, I was in management for Walmart Distribution for 18 years. Did pretty much ran about every department they had out there, and decided one day, my wife came home and said, I think there's a liquor store for sale. It'd be a cool little business. Well, I guess that'd be my retirement job, whatever you want to call it, midlife crisis or whatever it is, but it's been good. I see a lot of people through the county. I mean, yeah, it's in Fillmore. It's a little bit out of the way, but it's kind of unique that you see people from Greencastle or Cloverdale or a lot of Heritage Lake people, and you get to hear what's going on with this and what's going on with that. So it's pretty interesting, and just being part of something a little different, never done before. Doesn't really hurt anything to learn how to grow a little bit more. So if I get picked for this job, wonderful, and if you got somebody else, I understand. But I understand, especially with 18 years in logistics, you've got to follow procedures and rules. That's why they're there, because somebody can get hurt or something bad could happen. So, everybody's got to live here, so might as well make sense of it.
John, thank you for stepping up and donating your time. This is where you live, and you can have a say in some local things, and I appreciate that, because, we all care about where we live, and getting involved is so important, and we talked about getting some new faces and people involved, and you're the answer, so thank you for putting your name in.
Oh, you're welcome. Never been called the answer about anything before. That's always something new. And you guys were talking about all the change of people pathways. I used to run and ride them a lot before I bought the business, and gained a few extra pounds that I didn't need. But I do plan on my wife does. We do enjoy them and use them. So I can tell you that from doing triathlons and bicycle rides and stuff all over, that's cool. That's neat to see things change and evolve like that. Yes, it's expensive, and I'm sure there's a lot of hurdles, but that's something it's nice, to see something improve.
John, this is Cody again. I just want to echo everything that Stacy said. I really appreciate you putting your hat in the ring for this, and it really means a lot that you came before the council to introduce yourself. So good to put names to faces and really recognize that you're willing to put yourself out there, and that spawns other people who say, hey, I can do that. I'd love to be willing to serve and help out my community. So your enthusiasm is wonderful, and I just really appreciate you being here tonight.
No problem. Thank you.
John, obviously I'm supporting your appointment by seconding the motion, but I just want to make one gentle suggestion that we all have to do at times with all of your contacts, with your business and so forth. Brian Cox is on BZA right now, chamber president. He's had to recuse himself multiple times because of his relationship with various people and businesses. And if you haven't met Lori Hardwick yet, the city attorney, she can be your best friend if you if
make her your best friend.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of things that come up, and we go to Lori and say, "Do I have a conflict of interest here?"
Yep,
so anything you have questions about, she's your lady.
Yeah, those statutes are a little bit different than other statutes for BZA. So I actually was, as a gag, was going to come up and present to you your BZA booklet. This is your we expect you to know that before your first meeting. So.
Oh yeah, I'll have to read it 3 times to figure it out.
It's a piece of cake.
Yeah. Well, I'll probably ask them to borrow you a lot. But yeah, that makes sense. I get that. You don't want to go places you shouldn't. You shouldn't be involved in for what you do and stuff. I get that. Any other questions?
I'd like to call the question.
Okay, thanks, John.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
John.
Okay, all those in favor of John's nomination to the Board of Zoning Appeals signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? And my appointment from the mayor's office will be Paul Champion, who's a retired local minister. And I've spoken with him, outlined many of the same responsibilities, and I think he'll do a fine job for the community.
Good, so we've got a full commission.
So we've got a full commission.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay, next item of business is new business, and that is the resolution for the grant application. We've got two signature versions of this because just to give Christie an option to include everybody's signature. If it's not needed, she can just include mine and the clerk treasurer. So this is resolution 2021-1, resolution authorizing application submission and local match commitment. It's a resolution of the City Council of the City of Greencastle, Indiana, authorizing the submittal of the CDBG application to the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs and addressing related matters. Whereas the City Council of the City of Greencastle, Indiana recognizes the need to stimulate growth and to maintain a sound economy within its corporate limits, and whereas the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974, as amended, authorizes the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs to provide grants to local units of government to meet the housing and community development needs of low and moderate income persons and/or the elimination of blight. And whereas the City Council of the City of Greencastle, Indiana has conducted or will conduct public hearings prior to the submission of an application to the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs, said public hearings to assess the housing, public facilities, and economic needs of its low to moderate income residents. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Greencastle, Indiana, 1, that the mayor is authorized to prepare and submit an application for grant funding to address small businesses within city limits that have been negatively affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, with grants to those small businesses, and to execute and administer a resultant grant, including requisite general administration and project management, contracts and agreements pursuant to regulations of the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs and the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. 2, City Council, City of Greencastle, Indiana, hereby commit the requisite local funds in the amount of $6,250.00 from city edit funds, such commitment to be contingent upon receipt of CDBG funding from the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs, adopted by the City Council of the City of Greencastle, Indiana, this 11th day of February 2021, with appropriate signature lines. Like I say, we've got two different versions. The text is the same, just the signature lines are a little different. So I will entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved. Try to keep it
Second.
moving.
Here's a second.
You can't tell my second, Linda?
Well, it's some, you know.
Okay. Any further questions or discussion?
So do we not pay for the $6,250 if we don't get funding?
Yeah, we don't pay it.
Okay.
So, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? I just have the one version. Why don't you give me the other one too?
Well, this is just your.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, never mind. Sorry.
It's one time?
Okay, yeah.
Yep, just one.
The other one just needs signatures from myself and Linda, so.
Okay.
Okay. Next item of business is the annual contract with the Greencastle Putnam County Development Center, and Kristen Clary is here to make that request.
Good evening. And that's correct. Standard operating procedure dictates that we come before you annually to renew our contract to provide economic development services. Our organization started just under Greencastle. We have expanded to do all of Putnam County, so we have a contract with city and county. But we serve the entire community population, so that would be the small towns as well. So our contract is funded out of edit dollars, and we're requesting $50,000, which we've done for the last 3 years. And the mayor just asked me to come before you guys in case you had any questions or if you wanted to discuss anything.
Great bargain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
So we've got a couple of announcements. We have just relocated. We've been in the foundation building for, since 90, I don't know.
1990.
90, yeah. So our office was formed when IBM closed, and that was in '86, and then...
Dave was the initial board president.
Okay, there you go, Mr. Murray.
That was quite a day when IBM said we're leaving town.
I bet that was rocking. So, exactly. And so then they formed a board of community members and people with economic development experience. And so Mayor Dory came on as the development director and was there for 20 years, from 95 to 2015. And then he moved on to become the mayor here. I started in Park County for 10 years, then I was in Montgomery County for 3, and I've been in Putnam now 5 years. So the end of this month will be 5 years. And so we've been in the Community Foundation building for a long time, and just this month we have relocated our offices to the new Ivy Tech facility. Well, I say the new Ivy Tech facility, new to us. It's 11 years old, but it's been underutilized, so it looks like it is brand new. We are so fortunate. It is a gorgeous facility. We're up on the second floor in the executive suites, and when Treg took over, Treg Hopkins, he moved all of his offices downstairs, so as soon as you walk in the door, you see him. And so we're upstairs. So we're going to have an open house, and we're going to invite all of you, but we want to be really cognizant of the COVID and everything else, so it's going to be another month or two. We usually have an annual luncheon in February. We have postponed that to June, so hopefully we can have that right there on the facility, maybe outside. So we just want to be very sensitive. We just sent out fundraising letters to our corporate partners. So County Council approved our 50. We're going before City for 50, and then corporate gives us about 40. And then Foundation also contributes a grant to us, and then some investments. And another thing that we're just gearing up to do is the tax abatement. So all companies with existing abatement, they have to be notified. So we take that on ourselves and notify them and let them know, where they're at in the process and how many years they have left and things like that. So May 15th is the deadline for that. Last year it was June 15th because of COVID, but it's May 15th. So we would let them know plenty of time in advance. So if they've got any, their accountants have any questions. And then we're always open for new expansions to offer them local incentives if they request it. So right now we haven't heard of any expansions, but we're always open to it. So we've also been working hard with Christy and with the mayor and the county on trying to get all of these applications together. So that's been very successful. We've got it in electronic format, and we've hand delivered a lot of them as well. So we've enjoyed doing that and meeting some of our small businesses. Another thing we have is a revolving loan fund. We got $100,000, $99,000 from the feds. You guys matched it with 10, county matched it with 10, we matched it with 5. It was so successful, we got another $60,000. The feds gave us 74% of that, and then we matched our own funds. And now, at the end of this month, we're going for another $100,000. So we just continue to expand that. That is not for like a pandemic relief. Like these businesses are looking for grant funds. This is a loan fund where it's just a natural expansion. If maybe you're not bankable, come to us, see us. It's 3%, 5 years. We've got 14 businesses on it now. John was one of our businesses, and it's been a hugely successful program. We have had no one default, and everybody is in good standing. Fantastic. So we're very blessed for that. So those are just some of the highlights of what we do in our office, as well as just everyday things. Right now, we're working, we had CSX contact us, and they're just looking at a couple properties around the way that could be rail served, and so we try to come up with marketing plans for them and showing them some of our properties that might suit them. Development Center has a property of our own behind Chiota for 38 acres, but then there's other properties around the entire county as well that we market. So that's a lot of our new business that we're trying to attract in.
And you're much nicer than the old development director.
Much better looking, too.
Boy, I hear that a lot, Adam. No, I don't.
She wasn't going to say it though in front of the former director.
Yeah, you're rather bold. And it is, so many people across the state are like, oh my gosh, isn't it great to work with the mayor who really gets it? Because Bill did economic development for 20 years, and he understands the size of utility pipe that it takes to, put water and sewer through and stuff. Most mayors don't have that technical expertise, so it is always a joy to work things through with Bill.
Money well spent. I make a motion that we approve $50,000 for 2021 for the Greencastle Putnam County Development Center.
I second that motion. Sorry, Stacy.
Sorry.
Want to flip a coin?
I got Veronica down.
And just, I'm going to add real quickly, one other thing we did just this past year was we got funding and we started up the Putnam County Leadership Academy again. We had 10 people go through, and our own Jake Widener, it was one of those graduates. It was great. One of the days was local government day, so we came to the city hall and the county courthouse, and so the mayor did a great job explaining, funding and that kind of stuff. But Jake did great. We were so glad to have him, and we're going to be starting that up again. We're going to have our second class again this fall, so we're really excited for that. So thank you so much.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed or any abstentions? Hearing none, we'll get the contract signed, get it over to you. Thanks.
Thanks, Kristen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item of business is ordinance number 2021-1, an ordinance addressing sick leave, FMLA, and other personnel matters during a public health emergency. Lori, do you want to make an introduction to this, or do you want me to read it first?
Sure, I'll talk about that. The EFMLA, or the federal legislation that was passed last year to address the COVID issues.
Hey, really quickly, I'm sorry, Lori, do you mind coming up a little bit closer to the computer?
Sorry.
She'll come up to the podium here.
Thank you.
Sorry. Yeah, I forget, and I've got a mask on, and Greg tells me to do that anyway all the time, so shame on me. Okay, so the Family First Coronavirus Response Act that was passed last year addressed payment for employees as a result of the coronavirus. That expired December 31st, so we need to address that, and obviously some of our employees are still contracting COVID-19, or at least, and even more, are having scares or having to be tested or having to be quarantined. So we're still having to address the issue, and so we would like to, community, or it's up to businesses whether they want to extend those benefits. We have proposed to not extend all of the benefits, but to extend, but to offer something as an alternative, rather than to have the COVID pay the way it was. We have deleted that from what was passed in our original ordinance. We've kept most everything, which frankly, a lot of it was what we had the ability to do anyway, flex people's schedules, emergency closings, things like that. We've left in the telework, but we took out the emergency sick leave, which was the paid leave for 80 hours. We also took out the payment for staying at home if your child is home because of school closures. What we have put in instead is allowing employees to use our sick bank without, normally when employees use sick bank, they first have to use all vacation, personal time, sick time before they can tap into the city's sick bank. Now we are proposing that you allow employees to use sick bank up to 240 hours for direct COVID-related expenses, up to 240 hours. That's cumulative, so it could be used intermittently. Say somebody has to be quarantined for 5 days till they get their test results, and then 2 weeks later has to be quarantined again, as happens. So And then after that point, employees use sick time, vacation time. City's very generous with our benefit time. So that's really the gist of it. So that's what we're proposing.
Seems logical.
It's more generous than what than our normal employee what employees would normally have. It's an added benefit, but employees, I mean, we have had numerous employees who have contracted COVID-19, so it is an issue. We have a lot of people on the front lines, so.
Yep.
Well, it encourages people, too, to stay home when
That's
they probably
exactly right.
should until they're testing positive, so.
We
I mean,
do not
negative,
want
yeah.
people coming in to work.
Because they need a paycheck, or, yeah.
Or they're gonna, or they have to use up all their vacation time, and they don't want to do that because they have something planned, so they won't, so they'll come in. Yeah, we don't.
Gamble.
We don't
I'll make a motion, we pass ordinance 2021-1.
We have to read it first.
Oh, we
Waive
gotta
the
read
reading
it?
of the
I guess we
titles.
do probably, don't we?
Sorry, Bill.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, I'm asking Lori, since you've explained it, do we have to read the whole thing?
It's long.
I mean, you've read it before, the whole thing, so really you could just say you're deleting, which sections you're deleting, and then read the section that's new.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yep, same here.
That's in your packets, too.
Yeah.
so-
Yeah, it is.
You received,
Two versions.
you received two versions of this, one that showed the strikeout and the new, and then one, a clean copy for signature. So for the benefit of the public, this is a repeat of an ordinance that we passed last year. In Section 1, stay-at-home order, we're deleting under item 1D, we are deleting language that says that an employee, and starting the deletion, has traveled to a high-risk location as determined by the CDC, and that's, we're deleting that section.
Would you like me to explain why I deleted that? It's
Sure.
because at this point, most everything has been. At one point or
Various
another.
degrees of
Yeah,
high.
right.
For the public.
So,
Okay. Then the next page, at the very bottom of the page, deleting Section 5, Federal Emergency Sick Leave, and that is a number of things that expired on December 31st. Then there's also Section 6, Federal Emergency Family and Medical Leave expansion. That also expired and so is being deleted. New language, a new Section 5 is being added. This is, as Lori explained, with sick bank. Full-time employees who have already contributed to the shared leave bank pursuant to the employee manual may first use up to 240 sick bank hours for direct COVID-related illness of the employee or a relative living in the household of the employee who needs care and cannot be left alone. This includes time associated with being quarantined and/or awaiting test results, as well as time afflicted with the COVID-19. Hours may be taken consecutively or intermittently. However, the maximum number of hours of sick bank time that may be taken under this provision is a total of 240 hours. This provision does not apply to staying at home due to school closures, regular sick, personal or vacation benefit time.
that's correct.
Yeah, or personal benefit time can be used for that purpose. The terms of FMLA continue to apply for employees who will miss more than 5 days, basically see our FMLA policy in the employee handbook. Then the sections are renumbered. 6 is now vacation time accrual. The language remains the same. 7 is now general information and items, and that language remains the same. And then the ordinance is accompanied by proper signature lines.
I'm sorry, I think it should be, the first line should be shared sick leave bank, right? Shared sick or shared leave bank, shared sick leave bank, right?
Section 5?
Yes,
First
we do
line.
need to insert a shared sick leave.
That should be, insert the word sick between shared and leave on first line of number 5.
With that, I'm going to second Stacy's motion.
Good.
We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance on number 2021-1 on first reading. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, please signify your approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Hearing none. Now, Lori, did you want to request a second read tonight?
Since time is of the essence, it would take a 2/3 vote of the board to suspend the normal rules and to do a second reading on the same meeting. But if the board would be so inclined, that would be great.
I'll move to enter a motion to suspend the rules to enable second reading.
I will second Adam's motion.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and so that ordinance 2021-1 can be adopted this evening. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? It appears that 2/3 or more of the board has approved that, so we can move on to a second read. Can do that by title only. Ordinance 2021-1, an ordinance amending an ordinance addressing sick leave, FMLA, and other personnel matters during a public health emergency. I will entertain a motion to approve ordinance 2021-1 on second reading.
I would make the motion to approve ordinance 2020-1 on second reading. That's Jake.
Second.
Cody will second.
Flip a coin or
Give it to Cody.
okay, Cody, you got the second. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, please signify your approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or any abstentions?
Great, thank you.
Thank you, and we'll make that correction on the one page in the final version of it.
It's not on the signature page, so I'll just make that.
Yeah.
So section 5 says shared sick leave bank.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, the next several items are related to some changes we're proposing that we've been working on with downtown parking. And these, we've also worked with the fire department, police department, and public works departments to bring these forward. Appreciate their help in this matter. The next item is ordinance 2021-2, an ordinance amending section 8-28 of the Greencastle City Code regarding loading zones. Whereas section 8-28, schedule of loading zones of the Greencastle City Code lists the designated loading zones on streets within the city of Greencastle, and whereas the city wishes to update the schedule of loading zones, now therefore be it ordained by the Common Council of the city of Greencastle that section 8-28, schedule of loading zones of the Greencastle City Code be amended to read as follows. The list is by street and location, and the first one, these are already in existence. Franklin Street, one space on the north side immediately west of Indiana Street. Indiana Street, two spaces on the west side immediately south of Washington Street. And Jackson Street, one space on the west side immediately south of Franklin Street. We are removing on Walnut Street, one space on the north side in the middle of the block between Indiana and Jackson, and then adding Walnut Street, one space about 60 feet long in order to accommodate a tractor trailer on the north side from the alley and driveway east of Jackson Street, Indiana Street. So it'll be roughly in the middle of that block. This ordinance shall have the full force and effect upon passage of the Greencastle Common Council and its approval by the mayor. This ordinance shall have full force and effect upon passage of the Greencastle, it's on there twice, and then proper signature lines are provided. So I will entertain a motion to approve ordinance 2021-2.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2021-2.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2021-2 on first reading. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay. Well, that'll come back next month for second reading.
I'll have a clean copy for you with the strikeouts and changes cleaned up.
Thank you, Lori.
And then extra.
The next item is ordinance 2021-3, again following with the parking work. An ordinance amending section 8-30 of the Greencastle City Code regarding schedule of on-street reserved handicap parking spaces. Whereas section 8-30 of the Greencastle City Code lists the on-street reserved parking spaces within the city of Greencastle, and whereas the city wishes to amend and add to section 8-30 of the Greencastle City Code, now therefore be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Greencastle that 8-30 schedule of on-street reserved handicap parking spaces is hereby amended to read as follows. These are also listed by street and location. We would be removing on Anderson Street 2 spaces located on the north side of Anderson Street, 200 feet east of Locust Street. These were actually removed when Anderson Street was rebuilt. College Street, 1 space located on the west side of College Street, 35 feet south of Hannah Street, 1 space located on the west side of College Street, 345 feet south of Hannah Street. Again, these no longer exist because College Street doesn't exist there any longer. Franklin Street, 1 space located on the south side of Franklin Street between Market and Madison Street. These spaces, that space does not exist any longer, and that would be replaced with 1 space located on the north side of Franklin Street, immediately east of the intersection, or I'm sorry, this street, this one still exists, 1 space located on the north side of Franklin Street, immediately east of the intersection of Franklin and Indiana Streets. That's in front of the barber shop. Howard Street, this remains in place, 2 spaces located nearest to the intersection of Howard Street and Crown Street, on the south side of Howard Street, west of Crown Street. On Indiana Street, 2 spaces located on the west side of the street, immediately south of the crosswalk between Franklin Street and Washington Street. And then we're adding 2 spaces located on the west side of the street, immediately north of the crosswalk between Franklin and Washington Street. Those are on the east side of the courthouse. Larrabee Street, this one remains in existence, 2 spaces located on the north side, 30 feet west of the circle. Locust Street, we're changing from 2 spaces to 1 space located 171 feet and removing the one that's 373 feet north of Hannah Street on the west side of Locust Street, and 1 space immediately north of Simpson Street. On Madison Street, the entire east side of Madison Street between Washington and Franklin, that remains in place. On Olive Street, we're adding a space located west of College Street on the north side of Olive Street. Poplar Street, this remains in place, 1 space located 25 feet west of Indiana Street on the south side of Poplar Street. On Simpson, this remains in place, 1 space located on the south side of Simpson Street, 200 feet west of Locust Street. On Spring Street, we're adjusting that so that 2 spaces are located on the east side of Spring Street, north of Simpson Street. On Vine Street, the 1 space located on the east side, 90 feet north of Poplar Street, remains in place. On Vine Street, on the Vine Street parking lot, we're adding, and these have been in place for a while, 2 spaces in the Vine Street parking lot located on the southwest corner, and then the ones, we put back in the one space located at the northeast corner of the parking lot, for a total of 3 in the parking lot. We, on Walnut Street, we're moving the one space that's located about 25 feet. We're shifting that to the east to be approximately 37 feet east of the Indiana Street on the north side of Walnut Street. That will allow a little more room for fire trucks to turn at that intersection. And then this space remains in place as well. We're actually sliding this. There should be maybe some dark text here, but we're shifting the. No, this remains in place. One space located 65 feet west of College Street on the north side of Washington Street, and one space located on the south side of Washington Street, immediately east of the intersection of Washington and Jackson Street. This ordinance shall have full force and effect upon passage of the Greencastle Common Council and its approval by the mayor and supported by proper signature lines. So I will entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number 2021-3 on first reading this evening.
I move
would make a motion to adopt ordinance 2021-3 on first reading.
I second Jake's motion.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the ordinance 2021-3 on first reading. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? The next one is ordinance 2021-4, an ordinance amending section 8-22 of the Greencastle City Code regarding the schedule of no parking spaces, whereas section 8-22 of the Greencastle City Code lists the no parking zones within the city of Greencastle, and whereas the city wishes to update its list of no parking zones within the city of Greencastle, whereas the Indiana Department of Transportation has granted the city the authority to regulate parking along US 231 within the city limits. Now therefore be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Greencastle that Section 8-22, Schedule of No Parking Zones, is hereby amended and to add or amend the following no parking zones. Washington Street on the north side from Indiana to 65 feet east of Washington Street. We're basically pulling back the parking at the Washington and Indiana Street intersection. Walnut Street on the north side from Indiana Street to 37 feet east. That coincides with the handicap parking that we just spoke of. And then Walnut Street on the south side from Bloomington to Indiana Street. We're eliminating the no parking zone on Walnut Street from Jackson to Indiana. And then Walnut Street on the north side from the loading zone east of Jackson Street to Indiana Street. There will be a little section of no parking at the Indiana and Walnut Street intersection on the north side. All other provisions of Section 8-22 shall remain in full force and effect. This ordinance shall have the full force and effect upon passage of the Greencastle Common Council and its approval by the mayor with proper signature lines. So I will entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number 2021-4 on first reading this evening.
I will make a motion, we pass ordinance 2021-4 on first reading.
This is your motion, Dave.
I'll second it.
Okay.
I don't know if there's a way to note in the records, or maybe Eric could maybe note it, but I got more emails after the article in the paper last time than I usually get.
Yeah.
And people don't understand, we can't stop the truck traffic on 231. We don't own that road. And I keep trying to explain that to folks, and I just, they said, I got a couple emails saying, why don't we just route the trucks off the road? Or ban the truck traffic, and I keep writing back, we don't own it in the nicest way. So I think, and I know it's confusing to people in the community to know who owns what road, but we don't own 231.
Yeah, that's right. It's under the control of the state.
Right. And there's nothing we can do to fix that.
When my wife was mayor, she went and saw Mitch Daniels, who was the governor at the time, and asked him to do that, and he said, absolutely no way.
Well, we came close once to discussing the wraparound.
That's true.
Just before Governor Daniels came into office, there was the corridor study done that proposed some alternatives, but that's about as far as that got. Anytime I meet with NDOT, I do bring up the fact that it'd be nice to reroute traffic here in Greencastle.
And I'm not upset with people asking. I get confused over who owns what road.
Yeah.
But we just don't own that road, and there's nothing we can do with that road. We
Bill,
can
just
move the parking around to make it better.
Quick clarification, Bill, because it says on Washington, it's 65 feet east. That takes us from the light to the alley between the two ONB buildings?
It leaves one space, west of the alley. We will probably come back and, we've talked to the bank about the possibility of closing the alley, but we also need to talk to some other property owners there. So if we close the entrance to the alley there, because it's not a very safe condition, and the bank designed their drive up so traffic that was serving some of the businesses along there could exit through the drive up. We will come back and add, we'll be able to add a space there where the alley entrance is, and the number of parking spaces will actually be the same along there. So we won't really lose much. So, but we've still got a little bit more work to do on that.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure about ingress and egress. Having another route, I don't know.
Yeah.
About the alley.
So we've got a little more work to do on the alley part of that. So we have a motion and a second to adopt 2021-4 on first reading. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, next is ordinance 2021-5, an ordinance amending section 8-26 of the Greencastle City Code regarding schedule of limited parking spaces. Whereas section 8-26 of the Greencastle City Code lists the limited parking zones within the city of Greencastle, and whereas the Common Council wishes to update its list of limited parking zones, now therefore be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Greencastle that section 8-26, schedule of reserved parking spaces, or schedule of limited parking spaces, is hereby amended as follows. On Vine Street, on the west side, we're changing it from Franklin Street to Walnut Street to Columbia Street to Washington Street. And so we'll be able to add some spaces basically from Franklin to Columbia on the west side of the street there. That's by Prime Real Estate, and then there's a hair salon north of there. On Walnut Street, we're changing it from the north side to the south side. And then, so from Walnut Street, north side, from Indiana to Vine, that stays in place rather than Jackson. And then Walnut Street on the south side, we're adding from Jackson to Indiana Street for 2 hours. All of the provisions contained within section 8.6 of the Greencastle City Code shall remain in full force and effect. This ordinance shall have full force and effect upon passage of the Greencastle Common Council and its approval by the mayor with proper signature lines. Basically, by swapping the parking from in the block between Jackson and Indiana, we'll be able to pick up a few on-street parking spaces for the downtown there. So, and we've worked with the fire department to make sure they've still got adequate room to respond to runs. So I will entertain a motion to approve ordinance 2021-5 and ordinance amending section 826 of the Greencastle City Code.
So moved. Ordinance.
I'll second it.
21-5.
We have a motion and a second to approve 2021-5 on first reading. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, please signify your approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, last item of business is cancellation of warrants. 2021 old outstanding checks. Pursuant to IC 5-11-10.5, all checks outstanding unpaid for a period of 2 years as of December 31st of each year shall be declared canceled. Each year, the clerk treasurer shall prepare or cause to be prepared a list in duplicate of all checks outstanding for 2 or more years of December 1st last preceding. The original copy shall be filed with the city or town council, and duplicate copy maintained by the clerk treasurer of the city or town. The clerk treasurer shall enter the amounts so listed as a receipt to the funds or funds upon which they were originally drawn, and remove the checks from the list of outstanding checks. If the fund from which the check was originally drawn is not existent or cannot be ascertained, the amount of the outstanding check shall be receipted into the general fund of the city or town. The payroll account has no outstanding warrants, and the cash account has several listed there, and presented and approved by the Common Council of the City of Greencastle this 11th day of February 2021 with proper signature lines, and I'll turn the floor over to Linda to explain this.
So you guys do this for me every year. It has to be done during the February council meeting. And so basically, you'll see there a list of outstanding checks that we have. Most of them, except for maybe 3 of them, are checks that we have sent out to our utility customers. They were their refund checks, but they either didn't give us the proper addresses, and they never got them. They've never been cashed. They've been lost. Numerous things. You will notice that there are a couple city employees, which I have reached out to.
So noted.
We will have to cancel their checks, and then they're going to decide whether they're going to ask for that. But I've asked them to check pockets, whatever. But at this point, we have to, by state statute, cancel them. So if you guys will, I'll pass around 2 copies here. If you'll sign them, then we will go from there. So.
Do you ever have people come back afterwards and we have to reissue them, Linda?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not, but we will reissue them if.
Just curious.
Just for the public's information, there are 11 checks that are being canceled totaling $650.98. So we're not talking big numbers here.
Not a big amount. So these are truly ones that we do know that have not been lost in the mail or something like that. We can adjust some of the checks throughout the year if we physically know that they've been lost in the mail or something like that, or somebody calls me up and tells me they lost it or it's damaged or things like that. But these are ones that we truly don't know anything about. So.
Well, I see the smallest check on here, the person's deceased. So.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of reasons.
So you need a motion?
I move that we.
That I can cancel these.
I move that we approve the cancellation of warrants 2021 old outstanding checks.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the cancellation of $650.98 worth of outstanding warrants. Any further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
I think Adam's making a motion for adjournment.
Early practice this morning, early practice tomorrow.
There's 2 copies there to be signed, please. And I will happily entertain a motion to adjourn.
That's funny.
Adam?
I move we adjourn.
I'll second Adam's motion to adjourn.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay.
Linda, your documents are here.
Thank you, everybody. I'm going to sign off here.
Hang on a minute.
Jake, Cody?
Jake and Cody?
Yes.
Are you able to come through fairly early in the morning to sign these documents?
Jake is not.
Especially the resolution.
I'm out of town, so
Okay, Cody?
How does Saturday sound?
Well, Christy
Bill has been my Saturday morning buddy for the past couple weeks, so if anybody wants
Gerald has
to
to
relieve
have
him.
this one in the morning, right, Bill?
I can call her in the morning. We can.
Okay, so
You could just sign for me.
Sign an abstention.
just
An initial.
Yeah.
okay. I'll sign for you too. Is that okay?
For both of you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, I give permission.
Okay. Everybody have a good evening. Thank you.
Do that for them all the time.
Yeah, we'll let the attorney sign